Thank you for joining us for today's sneak peek demo of SalesLogix version 7.5.4. Your presenter today is Scott Weber from Customer FX, and I just wanted to mention a few items before we begin. For today's demo, all lines are on mute. However, we do encourage you to post any questions you come up with to the chat log or the question box. And then following this demo, we will take the time to go through your questions and get those answered for you. But that is all I have, so I'm going to turn it over to Scott, and we can begin. Scott?
Thanks a lot, Brianna. Yep, I'm ready.
All right. You should have the controls now.
Yep, I do, in fact. And so, as Brianna said, we appreciate your time. We're only planning on about 15 or 20 minutes for this webinar, so this is going to be a pretty fast run-through of all the features and functions that have made it into what is now officially called the SalesLogix 7.5.4 release. So they are following their standard numbering convention for this release. Customer FX has been a beta partner for Sage, so we've been kind of hammering on this and helping get this product out there as fast as we could. So we have a lot of prior knowledge of what's in this release and what's coming. And as with most software, they'll plan on a lot of things, but not everything that's in the beta cycle makes it into the release candidate. But what I can tell you with a lot of confidence today is that the beta has ended, and so what we're showing you today is a release candidate. And so our confidence is pretty high that everything we're going to show you will, in fact, make it into the official gold release, which anybody that's current on maintenance will get notified when this service pack is available for download from the support site. So they are officially calling it 7.5.4, and I put together just a little description of kind of the high points of what I think are included in this release. As usual, there are new features, new functions, and then there's also quite a few improvements and bug fixes and so forth that they also publish once the software is released to the user community. So with that, if you can see that, Brenda, you can see my screen okay, my Word doc?
I sure can.
Okay. So in the 7.5.4 release, and again, I'm going to take a guess here, we're probably going to see this within 30 days or so, just based on the timelines and cycles that have occurred so far. So be watching for that, and we'll certainly blog about it too as soon as it's available for you to download. But in this release, there is some improvements they've made to the desktop integration, and the desktop integration is the application that's responsible for integrating Outlook with SalesLogix. I don't know what the specifics are of that, but I know that they have published some improvements there. They've also added support now for Outlook 2010, and that's been a kind of a pressing concern and issue for people too. So that full support and full integration with Office 2010, Outlook 2010 is now going to be available in this release as well. Feature-wise, they've added some new abilities that I'm going to show you today into the web client. Now, it's no mystery that without exception, pretty much every new function and feature and upgrade that's occurring is in the web client. SalesLogix is banking heavily on that web client, as are we, to keep up with competition. So virtually everything I'll show you today is in regards to the web client. And one of the things they're adding is called secured actions, and I'll show you what that is. They've also given you the ability now to manage qualification questions for leads. So those of you that are using the leads area and you're creating qualifying questions for those leads, you can now administer those in the web client itself. This is all part of the migration of formerly LAN-only type of administrator chores that are now moving and migrating over into the web so that you don't have to have any LAN components involved in your SalesLogix implementation. You're going to see some evidence of that when I show you that. Also, same with resources. Resources are now also able to be administered in the web client for the admin user. We'll show you that. And then finally, for those companies that are using the customer service and support module, you have the ability to administer standard problems and standard resolutions. So we'll show you that real quick as well. A couple of things that I don't plan to show, but I will talk about them briefly if there's any programmers on the call, is that in the Application Architect, which is the development tool for the web, they've added the ability to have an editable grid for SData. So there's a new SData control that allows you to build an editable grid in an example would be the mobile, the iPhone application can now have an editable grid in it through this new control. And then they've also added the ability to modify and edit the What's New area. And the What's New area has actually been a part of SalesLogix LAN client for remote users for years, as far as I can remember. It's now a standard feature in the web client, and it has been since this new web release has been out, but it's been an untouchable, unmodifiable area of SalesLogix. So in essence, they've opened up that piece of the application in the web client so that if you're creating new entities in your system, you can include those new entities in the What's New area, which we think is pretty exciting. I think that's a really valuable feature that's really underutilized in the system because it's a very useful reporting tool. And then finally, we're going to show you some of the new features that have come about for mobile. Those of you that were on our webinar where we introduced the mobile client, the new mobile client, which runs on your iPhones, your iPads, your Androids, they are continuing to widen and deepen the feature set of that application, which is using the SData for integrating with the SalesLogix database directly. You're going to see now a graphical calendar view, day, week, and month. You're also going to have the ability to complete activities. This was missing from the initial release in 7.5.3, so you can complete activities and including scheduling a follow-up activity from that completed activity is now a standard feature. Next up would be a notes and history view. I was talking about the What's New area in the web client, and the notes and history view is virtually the same thing. It's a roll-up view of all the recent notes and recent history that have been added into SalesLogix. So it's a global view, like the What's New area is a global view, into everything new in the database based on chronological order. Again, I think it's a really useful tool that's now standard in mobile. And finally, we have the ability to have opportunity products visible in mobile. So at your opportunity view, you're going to be able to see the products that are linked to those opportunities. They are visible. You can see all the data. It's just not yet able to be edited in mobile, but that's coming. They are working to get this stuff functioning, and they're doing a great job of moving it to market very quickly. So with all of that, let's circle back here, and let me jump into the web client, and I'll show you in the admin area. So we're going to go into the administration area. I've logged in today as admin, which gives me visibility into this administration nav bar area. So it's from here that I have the option to administer these various items in the system. And I'll just start at the top here for what is new in here, and we'll take a look at resources. So those of you that aren't familiar with resources, what those are for is when your users schedule an activity or a meeting, for example, you have the ability when scheduling it to include company resources in that particular activity. And so that's represented here on a meeting slip under the Resources tab. And I can do things like add a conference room or an overhead projector because I need those tools to conduct this meeting with my prospect. And this is a way for me to reserve those so that other users who are going to try to maybe reserve that conference room at the same time can't, because I got there first and this stuff's available to me to use for this meeting. Now, prior to this release, you could always do this, as I'm showing you, but you couldn't administer these resources. You had to go into one of the LAN clients to do it. And so now in this release, we have a resources area, and as you saw in that list, when I scheduled the meeting, there's conference room number 100, conference room number 200, and so forth. The projector's on here. And so I have the ability to administer and add equipment and resources in the web client that are now eligible to be reserved by my users, again, without having to go into any of the LAN components to do that as you had to in the previous release. Whoops, there's the standard error we get during beta presentations. Okay, next we'll talk about qualifications. And qualifications, again, are used by the leads area. So again, this is a feature that has been there, but you always had to go to the LAN client to administer the questions that are part of a lead qualification process. In this release, you can now do that in the web client as the admin user. And so I'll show you how that's used. For those of you that maybe aren't familiar with it, we'll go into the leads area of SalesLogix here. Come on. There we go. And I'll just pick on Chuck Anderson here, the first guy in the leads area. And over here on the right, you can see qualification. And if I click on the drop-down, here is the 3 sets of questions that are available to me as perhaps an inside salesperson. Based on the nature of the lead, what he was interested in, I'm going to have the ability to select a set of qualification questions. And by choosing that in this qualification area, it drives the questions that are showing up just below that. So if I go to technology upgrade, for example, you'll see that the set of questions is different. It added a couple of different questions because these are the questions relevant to this type of lead. So again, going back to administration, we have the ability to manage those questions in the web client instead of having to go to the LAN client to do it. Just a nice efficiency feature here. I'll show what that looks like. And so here are the questions that are part of the new technology lead that I've created. So I can add up to 8 questions in here. You can have notes that are part of the questions or not. You can edit and remove these questions, change their position in the list. So these are all the things you can do for administering those qualification questions. Next thing we'll show you is secured actions. And this, again, is it's a feature that's being carried forward now from the LAN client and now available in the web client. And secured actions allow the administrator to govern or give access to or not give access to different features within the SalesLogix web client. And so it's part of the security model that, again, was there in the LAN client, but until now wasn't available in the web client, and now it is. And so we have the ability to create template secured actions and then assign those actions to a role. And a role is assigned to a user. So in this example, we have a role called the Data Quality Manager, and we can give users that role. We can say, okay, Scott, you're a Data Quality Manager in SalesLogix, and because you have that role, we're going to enable you to perform certain features or functions in the system that we don't want everyone to be able to do because they really are features that really are appropriate for somebody in the data quality world to be able to work on for us. So that's what you're seeing here, is the ability to create these secured action templates and then assign those actions to allow or enable those to be done by a user who has a particular role. And so that's what you're seeing here. Okay, that is what I want to show you for the web client. I'm just working my way down the list. Something else, I think this is just a teaser. This didn't work for me a second ago, but it was working before. They are also building, yeah, see, it's not working now. Anyway, they're building an integration for SData to enable you to integrate accounting systems. I don't know a whole lot about this feature, but it's obvious they're working on it. And in the various beta releases, we were playing around with this. So we'll let you know more to come on that as we learn more. So the next thing I'm going to do is jump into mobile, and I'll show you some of the new features on that. So here I've got a little iPad emulator running, and I've logged into the mobile site. Again, this came out in the 7.5.3 release. It was pretty feature-rich, but it was missing a couple of key functions that I think everybody really wanted to see. And one of the main ones that's been added now is a calendar view. And the calendar view allows you to see your scheduled activities on a graphical calendar. So you can see them on a graphical calendar, or in the Today view, it would show you a listing of all scheduled activities for you, the user, who's logged in here on that particular view. That was missing. It's there now. We're good to go. The other features I want to show that are new are this Notes and History area. And as I mentioned, this is kind of like a report. Think of it that way. It's a roll-up or a listing of all the new history, all the new data, all the changes to the database that you're choosing to track, kind of all rolled up here in a chronological view, so that as a user you can see, well, what's been happening in SalesLogix since the last time I logged in? What's been happening with my accounts? What's been changed? What's been added? So in here are all the changes in the database you're tracking, any notes, and any history items that have been added into the system are now available in here for you to view. Next thing we'll show you is opportunities, and the products have been added to that. So I've gone into the opportunities area. I've chosen Abbott Worldwide. And as you can see, products are now available to me. So I clicked on the products tab, which you'd be doing with your finger on your iPad. And I can see that there are 2 products that are linked to that particular opportunity. And I can see what it is, how many, at what price, any discounting, and so forth is visible to me here as well. And again, you can't edit these yet, but it is a step in the right direction because at least I can see what the products are that are associated to this particular opportunity we started at. All right, the last thing I want to show you in mobile is the ability to complete an activity. So we'll pick on Abbott Limited here. We'll scroll down to the activities area. And here you can see all the activities that are currently scheduled for somebody at Abbott Limited. And for example, here's a dinner meeting with John Abbott. So I'm going to click on that. And the new feature that's available now is the ability to complete that activity. So I can tell the system, I did this. I had this meeting. It happened just now. I can do things like choose a result code from a pick list, which we can set to complete. That's done. I can also, this is great, is schedule a follow-up. So from there I can say, yeah, we had dinner, but I also need to follow up with him with a phone call at some point in the future. And I can also link this to an opportunity or a ticket if it's appropriate to do that. And once I am satisfied that I've completed this activity and filled out everything I wanted to, I can click the Save button, which is this button on the upper right. And there's another error. Sorry about that. And now it takes us to the phone call we told it we wanted to create as a follow-up. So there's a follow-up call that we told it we want to make, and we'll just pick a date a couple days in the future here. There's our wonderful calendar view. I'm going to pick the 20th, say OK, and it should take me back. And there we go. So once I'm satisfied I got my phone call scheduled for the 20th, I click Save. And we should be able to go back where we started. And there we go. All right, so we'll take a look at Abbott here. And we should see that phone call in, I must have done something wrong, sorry. Anyway, so that's what's supposed to work. If it's all working, we're having a little glitch with our little demo system here, but we'll get it sorted out. So I think I've made it through everything that I was intending to. I just wanted to throw out one more thing before we go, and that's kind of what's next, what else is coming. And you know, so we get some inklings of this stuff, and we sign up for all the betas and try to get early into this for for our own education and our customers. And what we know is coming in the next release, 1.754, is out the door, is they're building the disconnected web client for the cloud users, so you can have offline remote users on the cloud. And they've also begun the beta cycle for their new business analytics tool. That's a replacement for what's known today as Visual Analyzer. And that business analytics tool is powered by a product called Spotfire, which from all indications it is a superior solution to the current previous generation of Visual Analyzer. We're very excited about that. The other things that we know are coming are a feature called Quick Fields. They have quick forms in the web now to allow you to be basically going through a wizard to build new forms and views in the system. But they're also now adding the ability to do quick fields, so that if you just want to make simple changes to existing screens by removing a field or adding a brand new field, today it's a little bit clunky because you have to go through several steps to get a new field added to the screen. You have to go into a couple of different applications to kind of sequentially do it. And so they're building an ability to basically go through a wizard, answer a few questions, fill out a few drop downs, and at the end you're going to get a new field on the screen you wanted to without a lot of hassle. So we're excited that that convenience feature is coming as well. You can expect that in what I think is going to be the 7.5.5 release. That'll be probably sometime this summer, this fall. Okay, so that is it. Brianna, can you think, did I miss anything? You said you were going to talk about this and you didn't, or did I make it through okay?
No, I think that you covered everything that you plan to discuss, and at this time I don't have any questions pending.
Okay.
We'll leave it for, I don't know, another minute or two in case somebody thinks of something, but
yeah,
I think we've covered it.
Okay, well, very good. Well, I think with that said, we appreciate everybody hanging on the call with us and giving us a chance to kind of give you this sneak peek. Again, expect all of this to be bug-free for you and working perfectly before they release it. That's part of the process of doing these early release demos and things, is to look for any issues. And we appreciate you, again, joining us on the call today. Have a great afternoon. Goodbye, everyone.